Lebanon and Israel have struck an agreement on recognizing maritime borders. The deal puts down on paper sea borders as well as drilling rights over unexploited oil fields under the seabed. US President Joe Biden has hailed this as historic, as a historic breakthrough. There are positive and negative points to every deal, of course, this one perhaps more than most. Let's work through them. Our guest is Yossi Mekelberg, Associate Fellow at the Middle East and North Africa Program at Chatham House, Professor of International Relations at the University of Roehampton. Yossi, thanks for being with us here on France 24. It's always a pleasure to have you in for your input. Thank you. Tell us about the plus side of this deal.
I think it's interesting that wherever you read or hear about it, they mention the term historic. And it's hardly that you can see that on both sides of the border, they agree that A, it's historic, B, that they actually reached their demands were met. So I think this makes it a very special agreement. And I think it shows at the end of the day that even countries that officially in a state of war, they can still reach an agreement, A, that benefits both countries, but also avert the possibility of hostilities and war. And thirdly, I think it's also important to see that when countries can't negotiate directly, as it happens between Israel and some of its neighbors, then the United States or any other third-party mediator can step in and achieve something along this line, as there is trust in the United States as an honest broker. And I think in this sense, it's important. It gives a hope, a flicker of hope for this agreement to expand to something else, but at least for now, avoid clashes with the Hezbollah, enables exploration and production of energy, especially at this very sensitive time when it comes to the energy market worldwide.
How about the negative aspects of this? You hinted at a couple there at the end of what you were just saying.
I think first of all, I think it's the negative things that because of what happened in the last 2.5 years with the economy, first with COVID and be with Ukraine, that instead of looking for clean energy, we are again going back to our old habits and looking for natural gas and oil. But that's the reality right now, where our economies here in Europe and economy in the United States are suffering quite a bit. So I think this is definitely a negative. But on the other hand, it helps to economies, especially the Lebanese economy, which can also enable to ease some of the political tensions in Lebanon. I think the other thing is it can always at one point and another, because this is not an agreement that's signed between the two countries. If I understand correctly, is actually the agreements are going to be signed with Washington separately, Lebanon and Israel. It also means that it's not they don't tie together into that, as long as the United States is the guarantor. Maybe it gives it more power, but I think it doesn't also as well for these two countries are getting along better in the future.
Indeed, that aspect of needing a guarantor maybe is one of the most telling details of this, Yossi, isn't it? As I understand it, from Hassan Nasrallah's words just a few moments ago, the Palestinian side of this whole equation, not considered in this discussion at all, but still geographically on the ground and there, they're not exactly happy about this.
Yes, I think first it's interesting the two people that actually oppose it. On one side it's Hassan Nasrallah, on the other side is Benjamin Netanyahu, and I think they are doing that not because they care for the interests of their countries, because they care for their own particular interest. On the other thing, I think the Palestinian state, they see every agreement between Israel and the Arab world as another step into pushing them to the side, that their issue of living under occupation, the possibility of Palestinian self-determination is getting further and further, and down the line of list of priority. So I think I understand the Palestinian always fear or concern about this. But I think on this specific issue, maybe in different of other issues, this is actually important to avert hostilities that might have made even more difficult the relations between the Israelis and Palestinians. But I think, again, and I think it's very important for Israel to realize, and for the international community, including us in Europe, that whatever happens, the Palestinian issue is important and is not going away. And having an agreement as positive as they are, if we will neglect the Palestinian issue, at the end of the day, it will come to haunt us.
Yossi Mekelberg of Chatham House and of the University of Roehampton. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us here on France 24. We appreciate your time. Thank you. We, of course, are watching for more developments on this agreement, which Joe Biden is hailing as historic.